We're back.
Welcome to Skate Date.
We totally didn't just record for like 20 minutes of talking and then find out that nothing was being recorded.
We definitely just did that. But you know what? That's okay. It fits the tone of life right now, and that's fine.
Yes. This is Skate Date. We are a podcast brought to you by two roller skaters in love that wanted to talk about more than just roller skating.
And so we decided that we should have a baby and talk to it about roller skating. And then we're like, wait, no, that's not that easy. Instead, let's make a podcast.
Yes, so I am Shove.
And I am Rebel.
And together we are...
Shovel!
Can you dig it?
Can you dig it?
Oh, Lord.
I can dig it.
Yeah, it's been a doozy. We've been on and off, and I'm gonna be honest, not only what just happened for the last 15, 20, 30 minutes was a doozy, but also we recorded this whole episode already, and no, we didn't just not hit record. I had an emergency last Sunday where my side was completely in pain, and it kept getting worse and worse and worse to the point where I thought it was internal, and Rebel got scared, and my best friend got scared and urged me to go to the emergency room at Kaiser.
Yep.
Because Rebel was at Disco Oasis for closing night. And yeah, so I took my butt to the hospital even though I didn't want to go, and
we're all very proud of you for that.
Yeah, and it was scary, and I had to be by myself because it's COVID, and I was all alone, and I was like, this freaking sucks. Made me pee in a cup. And then the pain just kept getting worse and worse. I was in there for hours, and Rebel kept texting me.
I was so scared.
And I was like, don't worry, it's probably okay. And then they're like, well, it could be kidney stones. And I was like, no, I'm so scared. Like, that's going to be so painful. Like, I was terrified. All I could think about was, like, this episode of Seinfeld where Kramer had to, like, pee one out and scream so loud that, like, this gymnast fell off a tightrope or something. And I was like, it's going to be the worst pain of my life. And so they're like, we're going to have to do a CAT scan. And that freaked me out because I've never done a CAT scan before.
And she's not a cat person.
Oh my gosh. I had to like literally Google it just so I could be like prepared for what was going to happen. And it was just like, I got super scared because it was triggering because I was like, they're going to find a tumor because like all the women in my family get cancer. And I was like, this is it. This is how I find out. They're going to be like, surprise, it's a tumor. And yeah.
No.
So I started freaking out, and then they make me wait some more.
A lot of waiting.
Yeah.
Like hours of waiting.
They call me in, and the guy's like, is the pain in the front or just the side? And I'm like, just the side. And he's like, well, the kidney's in the back. So he touches the side, and I literally like scream in pain. It's hurting so bad. Like my whole freaking right side is like in pain. And then he's like, you have a muscle spasm. And I was like, that's embarrassing. Because I thought like, oh, it's a cramp. Like, I don't know. But apparently it is a big deal. And it is an agonizing pain because I wasn't being a baby. It is something really bad. And I know it was really bad because he had the nurse come and give me 2 Norco and a shot in the ass so that I would, like, all my muscles would relax and I would just not feel pain. And then they sent me home with a bunch of really strong muscle relaxers and ibuprofen. And it definitely helped, and I got loopy, and I had the best sleep of my life.
Meanwhile, I'm at Disco Oasis, like, running around, like, freaking out all of my coworkers, and they're like, are you okay, Rebel? Like, do you need to go home? I'm like, no, I'm fine. I will be here, but I am scared out of my mind. And then one of the girls is a pre-med student, and so she was like, tell me about her symptoms. And so she was like explaining all the things that it could be, and I was like, this actually makes me feel a lot better.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, flash forward to like the next day, 2 days later, like I couldn't go to school because I was out of it. And I was like, oh, I'm in so much pain. Like, let me take a painkiller. And then I literally, like, fall asleep. Like, well, I said, I can't go to school, so we should record skate date tonight. And Rebel's like, yeah, cool. And then later I'm in pain. I take the medication. It starts kicking in. I literally cannot keep my eyes open. I fall asleep on her lap, knock out for, like, I don't know, 30 minutes. And then she wakes me up and she's like, babe, we gotta go do skate date. And I'm like, are you serious? She's like, yeah, you said you wanted to do it. Let's go. And I'm like, okay, like literally drugged out of my mind, and I'm like, all right, this is what we're doing.
When you tell the story back, I sound like a terrible person.
It was just like odd. Like I was thinking about it, like that's so odd that she was just like, it'll be fine.
Well, I thought you would snap out of it, to be honest. Yeah. I didn't know that you were like drugged. Yeah. I thought you were just tired.
I think she was like, oh, you're just tired, and like you'll wake up. And I kind of woke up halfway through it, but I was still very confused of what was happening. Literally, I just remember like not being able to look at the camera. Like I had my head I was just looking down, and like Rebel would be like,
it was a one-woman show and for sure.
You wanted to talk about blah blah happened to you, and I was like quiet, and I'd go, yeah, and then yeah, that just happened, and then I'd stop talking, and Rebel like, okay, so. And that just kept happening the whole time. We even got in an argument because, like, I didn't understand what she was saying. She couldn't understand me.
Really bad. And I was listening back to the argument, and I was like, this makes no sense. We are on the same side.
Seriously.
What is happening?
Yeah, and Rebel sat there and took the time and, edited the whole thing and was like, it's so bad. And I was like, I can't believe you even edited. Like, no. Like, I don't ever want to see it. Like, let's not post that because it's horrible. So,
I just felt bad because we hadn't posted in a while.
Yeah, but the one before that, I'm like, oh, I'm all, like, depressed in.
Yeah, it was like depresso espresso.
Yeah, and then before that, it's like, you're like, I broke my teeth. Like,
oh, yeah. It's like, it's such a tragedy of errors.
Yeah, we're like the sad ship lollipop over here, and we're sinking. And we're definitely 100% cursed and have, like, voodoo dolls of us. And, like, by the power of the gods and goddesses, we're still thriving as much as we can with, like, but we are trials and tribulations.
I guess we are.
I mean, it could be way worse.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
but
true.
Yeah, so that happened. So I'm trying to look decent tonight, even though I have like no real face makeup on. I try to do a little zhuzhing real quick.
A little zhuzh.
So you wouldn't think that I was literally like on the brink of death. So I'm here. I have more energy.
Yes.
Is she approaching mania or is she just getting healthy? We don't know yet, but here I am.
I feel like you're getting healthy.
Yeah, so, babe.
Yeah.
It's been a year since we started skating.
It has not been a year. That's so wild.
It's been a year.
I can't believe it's been a year. Like, what? How is that? Whoa.
Yeah, we've come so far.
It's less about having done the, like, skate date for a year and more about, oh my God, it's been a year since last September.
Yeah, we just used to
oh my God.
be huddled around a little Yeti microphone.
Hilarious. I can't believe that I thought that was a good idea. But it was the only microphone we had, so it was the best idea I could come up with.
Yeah, we used to get dressed up like it was a hot date every night. Even if it was 9 p.m., we're like, let's put on a full beat, a cute outfit, do our hair. Just to spend some time with y'all for an hour and a half.
We really did.
Yep, then take our makeup off, our wig off, and go to bed.
We were so extra. I mean, it is really cute. Like, when I look back on those episodes, I'm like, man, we look good. And then I look at every episode for the last, like, 6 months. I'm like, man, Rebel, are you literally wearing a beanie and no makeup and your glasses in every single episode? Because I think you might be.
And everyone's like, how many beanies does Rebel own?
A lot. I own a lot of beanies.
But yeah, so we've come, I don't know, I was just like thinking about how it's just like a relationship. Like, we're dating all of y'all, and a lot of y'all have been there from the beginning. We're a year in, and you know what it's like when you fall in love with someone. In the beginning, you try real hard. You shave everything. You make sure you have the perfect cute outfit. Your hair is done, your makeup's done.
All out.
Get a mani-pedi, and then like over time, you're like, chopsticks enough, a messy bun's enough. I can just wear sweatpants to go out. We don't need to go to a restaurant. We can just go get Mickey D's.
Mickey D's.
And like, that's where we are in our relationship. We don't have to try anymore.
But there's something really beautiful about that. It means that we're comfortable with each other.
We are. We sit here for an hour to hour and a half and we talk into this black void of a camera, knowing you are on the other side and talking into this microphone and to your ears, hoping that we can bring you some sort of joy, some comfort into relating our pain and sorrows and joining us on our hoorays as well, whether you're skating or driving in traffic.
Our hoorays!
Yes, because when we run into people now, it's not always just like, oh, I'm Instagram, YouTube, like skating. Like, it's like, oh my gosh, I love your podcast. And we really enjoy that, to know that our fan base might be around, I don't know, 300 people, but we're doing good.
We're killing it. We love it. We love that y'all are here. We love that you listen or watch us.
Yes.
I'd just like to talk, I'd like to speak a little bit to our glow up for a second and tell you a little bit of a story. So, like, Shove mentioned that we used to be around a Yeti. And then I was like, okay, like, we cannot do this anymore. Like, we have to upgrade ourselves. Like, as much as I love, like, leaning over towards this.
It stopped working at the end, remember?
Oh, that's right.
Then we switched to the camera and the microphone on the camera.
Yeah, and then we were like, oh, this audio still kind of sucks. And I feel like that's, like, the number one thing you have to get sorted out when you're a podcast. Like, you have to figure out the audio. So I was like, you know what, babe? Like, I feel like this is going to be a long-term thing. Go us. I was right. Yay. But, like, we should invest in this. And she was like, you're crazy, but sure. Put it on your credit card. And I was like, okay. So then I, like, researched a bunch and I found these mics and everything.
Yeah, a whole little kit. And I was like, cool. At first I was like, what a waste of money. But then I found myself every week like, when's it coming? When's it coming?
So this package was delayed like 3 months because just like everyone else during the pandemic who started a podcast and also needed mics and stuff like that, like, we were also ordering it. So we were probably like 8 millionth in line. But the night that it came, it like showed up and then we decided to set it all up in our living room and we were so excited. And like, no lie, I was like sitting on the ground by the front door and then Shove was like
across the living room,
on the couch,
on the floor, on the couch, with the other, and like with the whole like thing that you put, like the whole mount that goes on, not like holding a microphone, holding a stick that has the microphone on it, and it's plugged into the soundboard, and we have our headphones on to paint a pretty picture for you.
And so then we're just like talking to each other into the microphones, into our headphones for hours.
Playing with the volume and then singing to each other.
Literally until like 2 or 3 in the morning.
Just talking.
Like, it was an adventure.
And we're like little kids on Christmas morning where we're like, new toy, play with it now.
It was so fun. Yeah, we literally opened up and we're just like, this is what we're going to do today. And I just remember, like, it was literally one of the best memories I have of the quarantine. Just like sitting there talking to you in a microphone into the headphones.
All right.
Anyways, so...
This episode is going to be a really serious one. We are going to be talking about our experiences with being stalked. So we just got to have that trigger warning about stalking, about sexual abuse, and the abuse of animals.
Harassment.
All those things can be triggering, and I know you're probably sitting there right now going, WTF, did they literally just say that? Is this, what is it? Oh my gosh. Is this Murder Makeup Monday?
Makeup Murder Mystery Monday.
Is this My Favorite Murder? No, it's Skate Date, and sometimes shit gets real, as some of y'all know.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about that, because we both have experiences, and then we're going to turn around in the wheel world and talk about gear policing.
So it's going to be a little bit of a roller coaster of an episode, but y'all are used to that. You've been around for a minute, so... enjoy. But before we do that, we have a little ad for a cute little shop that I love and is very close to my heart.
let's jump on in.
Okay.
At Femme Fatale. That's my little business that I have neglected, just like this podcast. Yet here we are, coming back strong with the Halloween rollout. That's right, it's September, but we're already all about Halloween here in the Shovel House. That's the Shovel household.
It's spooky.
I have my 4 creatures coming back. I have the Skater of the Black Lagoon.
Ooh.
Skating with the Devil.
Ooh. Skating with the devil.
We have, oh my gosh, we have Black Girl Magic.
Black Girl Magic.
And last but not least, the Living Dead Ghoul.
The Living Dead Ghoul is literally such a brilliant name. Like, it's so brilliant.
All of these fins were available last year, but I only kept them for the spooky season, so they are back at you again. A lot of people had requested them, but this time you can get them on coffee cups. Yes, I ordered all 4 because I wanted them for my personal use. That's how cute I think they are, if I do say so myself.
They're so cute.
They can also get a hoodie this year that is new to the shop.
Oh, we love a hoodie.
Prints that come by 5 by 7 and 8 by 10. And also on stickers, you can get all 4 stickers for the sale price of $15. They are normally $5 each. They are 3 by 3 inches. They come on quality vinyl. They are waterproof and UV protected.
Wow, what a deal.
Right? This means you can smack it on your helmet, on your car, and on your water bottle. And you can be rough as you want with them. Baby, they're gonna last. So, shop at Femme Fatale for not just your spooky stuff. Also, September is time for all your pumpkin basics to come out. No, that's not an insult. I also am basic AF when it comes to pumpkin. So, mine might not have a white woman's Instagram, but but I do have that PSL that I love. So I also have my pumpkin print up. It is a lovely skater that's launching into the air in her roller skates from a pumpkin, spilling her PSL. So go check it out at fatfemmefatale.com.
Okay, so literally, I cannot wait. It is my favorite section of art that you have created, and I just want everyone to have access to it.
Thanks, babe.
Yeah.
All right, you ready to roll on over?
To the real world? Yes, but first, I would like everyone to know that Gingerly Valentine put out an Instagram reel where she told everyone how to make her pumpkin spice syrup that she makes. And I just feel like if you're feeling the need to be pumpkin basic, like Shove, then that's a great place to get some homemade pumpkin syrup recipes.
Yeah, because, you know, when people say you're basic, be like capital B-A-E.
Bay. Sick. And you'll be like, I'm Bay. Sick. All right.
Ooh.
Creepy.
The real world can be a very scary place.
Yep, and that's why we're talking about the scary things today, because we feel like it is our duty to be real about the things that have happened to us in case it's something that you might relate to or need support.
Yeah. We're old biddies. We've experienced life and gone through some crazy stuff, so we can, like, you know, pass that on to you about the things that have happened, so that way you can have the signs. You can see the signs a little earlier.
Yeah, definitely. So me and Shove both have experiences here. Mine is on the lighter side and Shove's is on the heavier side, so
it's called trauma.
Yes. And so we're just gonna talk about it. Are you ready?
Yes, I think this is cheaper than therapy, so let's go.
Okay, let's do it. All right, so when I was younger, like middle school, early high school, I had a person who was in my mom's church. My mom is a pastor, and he was a deaf man who showed a lot of interest in me and my sister and the other females in our church. And no one really thought anything of it that I knew of, but I was also an innocent / ignorant child. So, yeah, so he would always talk to me, and he talked to me a lot about ballet.
How old were you?
I was probably like 12 or 13. So actually I think I might be like 13, 14. I think it might be a little bit older. So he would always talk to me about ballet, and for those of you who don't know this about me, I did ballet for 10 years. Ballet and like dance was a big part of my life. And so I was always interested to talk to him about it, and he was like taking ballet classes and stuff like that. To this day, I don't know if he was actually taking ballet classes because he was interested in them or because he was interested in me, but I will choose not to think about that and compartmentalize it and talk to my therapist about it later. So basically, long story short, what happened was he had talked to me for quite a while, which now I know to be called grooming, and he invited me to go see Swan Lake and like have front row tickets to Swan Lake. And I was like, oh my gosh, I was so excited. I had never actually seen a ballet before. And so I was like, oh yeah, I totally want to go. So I told my parents about it, and they were like, yeah, sure. Like, you can go. That seems kind of weird, but yeah, sure, you can go. And, yeah, so I went with him, and it was like, okay, it was like a little weird, but it wasn't like anything crazy. And then the next week at school, I got pulled out of my class, and there was a social worker and like the school counselor that was like waiting for me, and they were like asking me questions about him and asking me like, you know, why I went out with him and like all this sort of stuff. And I was like, this is really weird.
Which is so weird for them to be like, why did you go out with him?
Yeah, I think that they were trying to figure out if my dad was neglecting me. I think that's really where it was pointed at, because it was never questioned about my mom. It was a question about my dad.
Interesting.
And I remember just being like confused and also scared that they were trying to say something bad about my dad. And I was like, I don't understand what you're talking about. And so my parents, or my dad actually came and picked me up from school. They like sent me home, and I was like, this is so weird. Like, what's going on? And when he was in the car, he was like, hey, so this person is like a listed sex offender and like has done a lot of things, has been like incriminated, but has not really ever like been punished for it, and we just found out about all this stuff, and like he was like apologizing for letting me go and like all this sort of stuff, and then asking me questions. And then I got home, and my mom was bawling because she had like found the sex registry and like found his picture, and like, because she didn't believe it, of course, until like, you know, she saw it for herself. And then just like, it was just kind of like a crazy moment, because I remember feeling like, wow, nothing's really happened to me. But then like I feel this weirdness that like something could have, I don't know, it was weird. But then, did you have something you wanted to add? Okay. Yeah, so it was like weird, and then he just started showing up after that. So we got a restraining order against him. And after that, he just started showing up in random places that I would be at. Like, he would show up, like, at my, like, Sunday school class, or, like, at my Starbucks that I worked at, or, like, just... How
many years later was this?
This was, like, just consistent, kind of, like, as it was going on. So it'd be, like... for the few months afterwards, it was like really intense, and then it would be like a year later, like he would just kind of show up, and then it would be like a couple years later, and it always really jarred me, because he had like clearly tried to go after my sister too, and like one time I like walked in with my sister like on his lap, and he was just like, what? And the main reason why, like, when we went to court and like a bunch of stuff happened, the reason why he had gotten away with the things beforehand, and also just like the like grooming and wasn't like kicked out of the area or whatever, was because he said like, oh, I'm deaf, I don't know any better. Which is some bullshit.
Yeah.
So then, yeah, so when I was, so then he kept showing up. He showed up again when I was like 16, and then he showed up again. He showed up at my work at Red Robin when I was 19 years old. So like years later, and he requested to be in my station, which was really cringe and weird, and he brought some girl that was like a younger girl with him. Like he was going to the same place that he took me, but then he like took this younger girl or whatever, and like it was just really like triggering, and it freaked me out, and like all these things. And like he got up to go to the bathroom at one point, and I like warned the girl. I was like, hey, you have to get out of here. Like, he is not good news. Like, he is dangerous. Like, do not stay around him. And she was just like really confused and like really like, I think, weirded out. And yeah, and that was the last time I saw him. So that was fun. And then, yeah, so that, I feel like I'm talking about it very flippantly now, but it was not flippant in the moment.
How did it fit? Like, how did you feel about it? Like, is it something that, like, was it a constant fear that he was going to pop up? Or was it always, like, out of sight, out of mind, and then, like, jarring when you saw him? Or, like, how long would it linger that, like, oh, he might show up here, too? Like, how did it feel for you?
It was a constant fear that he was going to show up, because he would, like, he wasn't supposed to go to, like, my mom's church, but he kept, like, randomly showing up, or, like, standing outside the door, or, like, just being in random places, like, on the church campus, but, like, not where the deaf church was.
But, like, no one would call the cops when he was there?
Yeah. I mean, maybe. To my knowledge, he wasn't there, like, I remember my mom yelling at him one time, but I don't have, like, extensive memory. I'm assuming that I am traumatized and don't remember. But I have, like, a memory of my mom shouting at him, and, like, signing really intensely. And I have memories of, like, hiding, but I don't have, like, extensive memories about it. But I remember being scared that anywhere I went that he would show up, because it just didn't make sense. He showed up at my school. I forgot about that, but he showed up at my school. He like just showed up in all these random places, and I was like, what the hell are you doing here? Like, I just felt like he was everywhere that I was, and I was just so scared.
It's terrifying.
Yeah, it was scary. And yeah, and I just felt like when someone is like above the law, like when you're acting like I'm deaf and dumb, like I can't understand the law because I'm deaf, and like a judge had bought that argument previously, it felt like there was nothing that could be done to protect me, basically, is how it felt.
Yeah, I'm sorry that happened to you.
Yeah. It's okay.
My story starts at the age of 15, I believe. 14, 15. How old are you when you're a ninth grader? Anyways, I want to say, like, maybe we'll go with 14, yeah. So I was 14 years old. I started high school, little ninth grader. And all my friends started getting in relationships. And, like, my best friend became best friends with, like, a person a year ahead of us. And then, like, so we're hanging out with, like, older people in high school. And I remember just thinking, like, I am a loser. I want a boyfriend because everyone else has a boyfriend. Because that's how the mind of someone, you are all young, maybe you're young when you're thinking about this, that's the biggest problem, is like, oh no, like, I've never had a boyfriend, this needs to happen. So I told my friend, and she was like, well, you know, there's, and like, he's single and he has a crush on you, like, maybe we could, like, just hook the two of you up. I didn't even know him. That's how bad it is. I just, like, knew we hung out together because we were all rockers and we hung out in the same area. So I'm just like, okay. So eventually he comes up to me and he's like, oh, you want to be my girlfriend? And I'm like, yeah, because, like, you know, it was a simpler time. You didn't have to, like, court each other. I just said court each other. What year is it? You didn't have to date each other. Like, you would just be like, oh, we're in school together. We see each other all the time. Like, yeah, sure, but now we're in a relationship. We're adulting, right? So anyways, I remember thinking, like, oh, like, he's a cool rocker guy. He's a punk guy. I'm a punk. This is fine. Also, I was just still getting out of being like one of the biggest nerds from 8th grade, so it was my first time out of a uniform in a while and like trying to find my style. So I definitely was like loser status when I went in 9th grade, because I was like, I have no idea what, like, I know I have a good taste in music, but I do not know how to dress. So anyways, I remember the next day I see my new boyfriend, and he's wearing the same band shirt he was wearing the day before, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's okay, whatever. And we're holding hands, nothing big. And the next day I see him again at school. He's wearing the same damn band shirt that has holes in it, and I'm like, oh no, my boyfriend's disgusting. And yeah, everything was normal, you know, like, it was never, like, nothing seemed scary or unusual, but also I had nothing to, like, go off of, really. We dated for, like, a month or two. It was just, like, heavy makeout sessions and, like, holding hands, and we would go to ditching parties together and, like, hang out with all, like, the seniors and stuff, because he was a senior, and I thought, like, wow, I'm super cool freshman with my, like, my senior boyfriend, and he hangs out with, like, all the cool kids that are in a punk band, and, like, you know, I was just like, oh my god, I feel so cool. I was like, I think I like the idea of him more than, like, actually liking him. So eventually I was just like, this isn't gonna work, like, I'm not even into this guy. Like, it's been like 3 months. In high school, that's a really long time.
Yeah.
So I ended up breaking up with him, and he didn't take it that well. And I don't know, like, he would call the house, which we didn't have a house phone. We had, like, a cell phone that was my parents', but, like, we'd use it like a house phone. And he would, like, try to call here and there, but, like, whatever. Didn't see him for a while. And, well, except, like, yeah, because he was, like, ditching school a lot. And I just thought, oh, okay, whatever, we ditch sometimes. I didn't know it was because apparently he was heartbroken about it. His sister, who I never even met, apparently went to the same school as us. And I'm, like, walking sketchily as I'm ditching to, like, go hop the back gate, because I don't know how I was, like, one of the top people in my class when I graduated, but I also ditched a lot. I just knew when to show up. Anyways, that's a story for another time. So I'm, like, walking, and I just see this, like, girl walking towards me, and she's like, oh my god, hi, I'm sister. I just want to tell you, like, he loves you so much, and I don't know why you broke up, but he really, really wants to get back together. I think you should really give him another chance. Like, he's just not the same, and, like, all this stuff. And, like, maybe that should have been my sign. Like, the fact that, like, he, like, how, like, maybe I should have asked, like, how devastated was he? Like, because, like, I don't know, like, that kind of, that maybe that was, like, the first sign, like, someone shouldn't have been that devastated that he got broken up with, to the point where he stops coming to school and, like, his family member is worried about him.
After 3 months?
Yeah, so, like, I get it, we feel things stronger when we're in high school, but still, like, he was 18 at that point, like, get it together. But, okay, whatever. So, I feel bad, because I'm a nice person, and also, like, at this point, like, 15, so I'm like, okay, I'll get back with your brother, or whatever. So, we get back together, and I think it only lasted, like, a month, and I was, like, over it. Like, I was even, like, let's be honest, I was cheating on him with other guys, because I was like, I'm in high school, I want to have a good time, you know? You never found out, luckily, and now I think really luckily, because maybe he would have murdered me for that, but you'll find out why, because this person got really scary. So then I realized, like, this is, like, you're being a shit person, this is not right, like, you shouldn't be with someone because you pity them and, like, string them along. So I ended the relationship again. And I remember it was, like, that weekend or soon after, my friends were like, let's go to a show. And it was, like, mine and my now ex's mutual friends that were playing the show. And I remember standing there, like, waiting for the band to set up. And I'm, like, talking to my friend Terry. And she was like, don't worry. Like, and I was just like, he's freaking me out. He keeps staring. He's staring at me like I don't know what to do. He's obviously drunk. Like he was holding like a big bottle, like that big bottle of Jack Daniels. And I just felt uncomfortable. So she's like, it's fine. So she put her hand around me and put like her hand on my butt. And it was just like, she's like, it's fine. We'll just like, you're with me. Like whatever. Which is, we ended up dating, but that was like later on. So that pissed him off. And the tree we were standing by, like all of a sudden I heard like a big boom. And like, he threw the giant bottle of Jack Daniels to try to throw it at either me or her, but it hit the tree and it smacked it super hard to where like it like knocked off some of the bark. And I was just like, what the fuck? Like, okay, like, and his friends like got him. They're like, you need to calm down, blah, 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 all this stuff. And I was just like, okay, that was scary. And they took him out, but I was still like, I remember my friend was just like, don't worry about it. Like, have a good time. Like, let's drink. Like, whatever, you know, underage drinking, whatever. Get it out in the pit. And I'm just like, okay, whatever. Keep going. He doesn't really show up to school, to be honest. I don't think he even graduated. I think he ended up like dropping out. I just didn't really see him at school again. And, went on with my life, would see him at shows here and there. And he would every time at a show, like, approach me or stare at me, and it was just, like, really uncomfortable. Over time, little weird things would happen. Like, I would see him sitting in his car, like, now, because he didn't have a car when we were together, but, like, I would see a car in front of my house across the street. It was him, and I'd be sitting in my living room, and I wouldn't say anything because I wasn't allowed to have a boyfriend. My dad was very clear about that. So in my mind, even though I was getting a little scared, I felt like I'm going to get in trouble and punished because I came from a very abusive home. I was afraid to tell someone. So I would just be like, this is fine. And I talked to my friends about it and they'd be like, oh, fuck him. Like, he's crazy, whatever. But no one really like took it seriously. So for me, it was just like, oh, I guess this is going to be fine. And again, like, I have no idea how relationships work. I don't know if this is really normal. It just felt off. So he was sitting there and I'm like, oh my God, like, leave. Like, you're going to get me in trouble. Just go away. I think I was more afraid of getting in trouble than afraid that he was just staring at me from, like, looking into my house, like, just loitering there for hours. And then another time, my dad wakes up early and I'm getting ready for school and he's like, hey, you need to tell your little friends to stop fucking with our cars, like, stop playing games. And I'm like, what? And he's all, yeah, like, they like wrote stuff on our cars. And I go out and like how the windows frost over on my dad's car and my mom's car. Someone wrote like I heart and then like my name and then like my initials with a heart around it. And it said like, I love you, I love you, I love you, like all over the passenger windows, the back window, the windshield. And I remember my heart just feeling like it sunk and being like, how early? Like, do you stand out my house all night? Like, you came over here and did that, like, for a message for me? And it was like, I knew that like none of my friends would have done that, and like no one would have took the time to wake up and like get to the house like 6 a.m. and do that. Like, it was just so creepy. And again, like, I just laughed it off by my parents and I was just like, oh yeah, and like left. And there was another time I'm walking home from school and he starts like driving alongside me after like my last friends and I like split up, which like sucks because he knew my whole route that I would take home and like knew like when, like what friends would leave and like by the time I'd be alone. And he just kept telling me to get in the car, and I was an idiot and I just felt awkward, so I get in the car.
I can't believe you got in the car.
Yeah, and like, thank God, like nothing happened to me. Like, I think he like just touched my thigh and he was just like pleading for me to take him back, and I was just like, no, like I want to go, like I'm not comfortable, like you need to leave, like I'm over it, like please just stop. Like, I pleaded with him and he was just like, he let me out, but I just remember thinking like, I hope that's the end. Like, I don't know, like maybe he needed closure because I was ignoring him the whole time and it was just like cries for attention. But then later down the line it got scarier. So the worst thing that happened was one day, like, mind you, probably looked bad to the neighborhood because at this point I was super goth, like definitely looked like the Satanist witch of Compton. But anyways, I like walk out of my house and I go down the sidewalk, and you know how it's like your grass in your front yard, the sidewalk, and then the patch of grass, and then it's the gutter in the street. Well, in the patch of grass, there were 4 kittens, and they were spread out perfectly. Like, no, 3. I think it was 3 kittens. They were spread out perfectly, like perfectly in the center, the same amount of space. And I don't know how, but their entrails, like their guts, were like pulled out through their mouth. Sorry, I know, like you're probably freaking out. It's very horrific. But everything was lined up perfectly. So at first I like, what wild animal did this? But then like I knew like no animal could like do that. Like this is something a person did. And like of course it's like who else would it be? Like everything just added up. And that's when I was like, holy shit, like I think something like really, really bad's gonna happen to me. And still did not tell anyone. Like my mom or dad, like they were both like strung out on drugs and alcohol anyway, so I didn't feel like I could talk to them. And then that one I didn't tell my friends because I thought they'd think I was crazy and being paranoid. So I just kind of dealt with it. Over time, he would like just disappear for a long time. And then eventually I had word that I don't know, for some reason, if he ran from the law or something, but went to Mexico for a long time. Years passed. Now we're like, I'm out of high school. And like he would just randomly find my information like through a mutual friend or something. And so like I started getting phone calls from weird numbers, and it'd be voicemails of him like playing songs that like he dedicated to me, or like just saying like I miss you, I love you, and then playing a song.
Nope.
And it was just like really creepy because I was like, by that time I lived in Long Beach, so like I knew like he wouldn't know where I lived, but it was still scary that he had my phone number. And then he would like friend request me on Facebook, and I'd have to keep blocking him because he keep messaging me and being like I miss you. And then like I don't know, it was just like I never knew, like anytime I saw a phone call, it was like I didn't want to answer if I didn't recognize it. And almost every week it'd be like, here's another a voicemail from him. And then it would stop again randomly, and I'd be like, okay, what the heck? And then I did run into him eventually, and I was like really drunk and in a bad place. It's back when I was like also addicted to drugs. And he ended up being at the place where we all hung out. And he did try to take advantage of me there, but luckily, like, my friend, like, woke up and, like, stopped it from happening. But I remember just being, like, super terrified, because, again, like, me and this person never even had sex, and it was just, like, this crazy obsession. Ugh. And, yeah, and then, like, I didn't see him until I was an adult, and it was super random. I actually saw him on Halloween first when I was with my best friend Ashley. We're at Chipotle, and we're like, let's eat before we go out. It's Halloween and have a good time. And I remember just seeing someone walk in the distance and thinking, like, holy shit, is that him? And sure enough, it was. And then he leaned against the little gate. It was like at Circle Center. And he, like, said my name. And I was, like, trying to ignore it. And then Ashley looked all like, what's happening? Why do you look like you've seen a ghost? And he's like, hey, how are you? I was like, I'm good. And he's like, oh, yeah, where you live at now? And I think I, like, lied and said like Lakewood or something, and then like Ashley just looked sketched out like, why are you lying and acting like this? And he just kept asking random questions, and then finally like just left. But I was like, oh shit, like, because I didn't want to walk to like my car so that he could know what kind of car I drove. I didn't want, like, it was just like, does he have a car? Is he gonna follow us? So then I had to tell her really quick, and then we like took off from there because I was just like, we need to leave. Like, I can't be here anymore. And then after that, it was like another 6 months or so. Same area at the Circle Center where the Coffee Bean was. I was picking up or dropping off product from my store to that one. And as I'm like walking out of the store to my car, I see him with like a bucket and a squeegee, because like people would like do that. So obviously he did drop out of high school and hit a low. But anyways, as I'm walking and he says my name, I turn, I'm like, oh shit. So I'm like hurrying, and as I'm like closing my door to lock it, because this is an insane person, he says, I heard you're engaged. How is it? And then I was like, the door closed and I hurry up and started and I'm like, holy fuck, because at the time I was engaged to someone. All I could think was like, how did he know? Like, he's still watching me online through some kind of account. And to know that he's still keeping tabs on me was like terrifying. Like, we're talking about from the age of 14, he first entered my life, till about what, 30? Like almost 30 to 29, like that's a really long time for someone to like still be like, I'm watching you. And yeah, so like there was someone, a skater that like did some stuff that felt kind of like stalker mentality. And I remember I got really scared and sketched out because it reminded me of that situation and like knowing like, is this unhealthy behavior? But then that also triggered me and made me think of this person and made me think like, is he still watching me? And like, do I need to be careful like what I post on like lives on Instagram, like where I am? Like, I have a huge following now. Like, chances are a lot of people from my past have now seen me and found me again. And there were a lot of bad people in my past because I do have a dark past where I was in a bad place, and there are so many people my hat. There were so many people that I had to like blacklist and disappear from. And so sometimes I wonder, like, do those people like see me now? Like all these like horrible people from my past. And yeah, so it's definitely something that like a fear that lives with you. And I feel like it could have been so much worse, and it ends way worse for a lot of people out there. So, and there's nothing, like, I feel like you can feel guilty when it's happening to you, like you did something to deserve it, but you did not. Some people are just mentally unwell, and that does not excuse the behavior, but please don't be like me, and do not be afraid to ask for help. Mm-hmm. Like, if you need to, like, talk to someone, like some sort of adult, especially if you're underage, but like, let someone know, call a cop. Like, I let so much scary things like slide that like are terrifying and happened to me at a young age that like I shouldn't have handled that by myself. So that's one thing I would love to offer as advice, is just please reach out to someone and don't try to sit there and deal with all that by yourself.
Yeah, and I think that there's something really important to talk about, and it's the validation of our feelings. I think that sometimes it's hard to figure out whether or not like what we're feeling is legitimate. And I know that I will gaslight myself all the way, until next Tuesday. And I think it's really important to listen to that like little feeling you feel within your chest, or your stomach, or your brain, or wherever you feel you're like, this is an unsafe or weird or uncomfortable situation for me. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I think it's really, really important to listen to yourself. And before things start happening, like, don't be scared to reach out and get help before things happen. Mm-hmm. Don't feel like you need an experience to validate that feeling of creepiness that you have.
Yeah, it's like, listen to your gut. Because, like, I knew... like this, like something told me like this isn't right. Like, even if I didn't know how bad it was, I felt like this isn't normal. Like, this is something bad.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I don't know, like, I feel like sometimes, like, I know we think like that's just in the movies, but no.
Yeah, it's very real.
It can happen, and I hope it doesn't happen to anyone that's listening.
And a lot of times it starts with not like a super creepy random thing, like it starts with a relationship, or it starts with like someone you meet in a casual setting. And just because you like someone at first, or you're interested in someone at first, or you have good conversation, it could be a friend, it could be anything like that. And things can go south and people can snap, and you need to protect yourself first and foremost if you find yourself in this situation.
And it's also like a dark side of having a large following like we do. When something happened with someone in the skate community, I remember Estro just telling me like, don't go live anymore when you're still gonna be at that place for like a really long time. Like post later, like don't geotag things, like just like get your clips and post them later. Or go live when it's like you're in a place surrounded by people that's safe, or like go live at the end when you're already about to leave. And it's like things I'm like, what? You have to think about this. And she's and they were like, like you can have super fans, and I was like, I am a normal person, like why would I have a super fan? Like I'm not freaking Selena, things aren't gonna go like how horrible that way, like it's just I'm a normal person. But then I gotta remember, when I was a normal person, I had a scary stalker.
Yeah.
So like a super fan isn't like a super fan. It's just a stalker, someone that's obsessed over you. And I don't think you have to be someone that has a huge following to have that. It's just like the percentage of it happening, like the chances increase because it's just statistics. And like I do put so much of my life online that like, I gotta remember that. And what's funny is I'm just now realizing that, like, I haven't really been active on social media for a while. And it happened, like, around the same time that this person, like, popped up again.
Yeah, I definitely think that it is incredibly triggering to have someone, show up in different locations that you're at or go after you in, like, kind of wild ways with falsified information.
Yeah.
I also think that, it's also something that even if you don't have a big following, like just the pure fact that all of us put so much of our lives online now, just because it's normalized doesn't make it any less easy for someone to find out like a crap ton of information about your life without having to do that much work. Like I know a significant amount about so many people's lives that like I don't even talk to every day. And that's actually really scary. And
I know where they work. Yeah, I know where they skate at.
And I'm not even trying to get that information. Yeah. Like, it's just happening. Like, they pop up in my algorithm. And so I just happen to know a lot about them. I know what their family looks like. Like, I know. And that's just, like, normal now. And so I think more than anything, it's important for us to prioritize our own safety and like protecting ourselves and like increasing that awareness.
Listen to your gut.
Yeah.
All right. So sorry that we creeped you all out with that,
and that was really long.
Y'all came back with some heavy-ish, but life is heavy sometimes. So yeah, I hope. Yeah. I don't know. Anyways, I think it's time to roll on over to the Will world. How about you, babe?
I think so too. Okay, so the real world is over. Now we are entered into the wheel world where we focus on roller skating. Today we're talking about gear policing, which I don't know anything about doing.
Gear policing is where you see someone without safety gear when they're skating, and you might tell them in person, or you might come on their video and be like, where's your helmet? Where's your knee pads? Why aren't you wearing gear? Oh, you hurt yourself because you weren't wearing gear. Why weren't you just wearing your pads? You would have been safe. Like,
or you're a role model. You have to wear gear.
Yeah, like you're inspired. Like people look up to you, and by the fact that you're not wearing gear, you're a bad role model to other skaters that are starting out.
Yeah, you're causing other skaters harm because they want to be like you and not wear gear.
Yeah.
So don't do that.
Yeah, just don't.
Just don't.
Don't.
We believe in body autonomy in this household, which means that you are allowed to do with your body whatever you choose to do with your body.
Yes.
But it didn't always exist like that.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so it's like, if I'm doing roller derby, I have to wear pads anyways, but I would definitely wear all that even if I didn't have to. Park skating, I'll wear like most of my gear, not all of it, and it really depends on what I'm doing. But I feel like you have to listen to yourself. Like if I'm just pumping back and forth, like yeah, I could fall and hurt a knee. Rebel's done it just like trying to get on top of the ramp, not even doing any tricks, and fallen and hurt her knee. And like that just happens. Like I just feel like I'm one of those people, I'm like, skating is punk rock to a core, and that means that like it can be grimy, you get hurt, you fall, you dust yourself up, and you get back again. I'm not too like, I know it's like a weird way to think, but in my mind that's what it is. Like, you get thrown around and you pick yourself up and you keep going. It's not like I'm not worried about like being too safe, and I know that sounds weird to people. Like, do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I know what you're trying to say. And I think it's important to, like, enter into this conversation with, we're not trying to tell you to wear pads, and we're not trying to tell you not to wear pads. Yeah. We're trying to tell you to do whatever you feel is right for you, and to not feel, like, pressured by anyone else.
And either way, like, you shouldn't be pressured to wear gear that you don't want to wear because other people are telling you to, but you also shouldn't feel pressured to not wear gear because people are like, that's not cool, or that's not comfortable, or like Shove said, that's not punk rock, so now I'm not gonna wear my safety gear even though I don't feel confident in my skates and now I'm hurt. I feel like it should be like, whatever makes you feel protected, stronger, feels good while you're on skates, confident, that's what you should do. Because there's times like I don't feel confident on the ramp if I don't have my wrist guards or helmet. I'll take it easy. When I have my gear on, I'll go harder. But sometimes I feel like that works against me because like I just feel like, oh, I'm relying on my safety gear now. When
I disagree with that for myself, because I think, I'm relying on my safety gear when I'm on a ramp. I'm always going to be wearing my safety gear when I'm on a ramp. So if I rely on my safety gear, it's fine.
Yeah, no, I know.
Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah. I feel like it's individual for each person.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I didn't mean like speaking for everyone. I'm just talking about like for myself as well. Oh, okay. Like I'm saying like when I am skating, like I feel, sorry if it came off as like I'm telling like you should feel that way, but I'm talking about like how I feel. Like I like how Dita has spoken out about how she wouldn't coach derby and she was competitive in derby because of they train you to fall on your knees in roller derby, and I always thought that was stupid. Like I didn't understand it, that they make you fall over and over and over again, especially when you're fresh meat. Like you're falling on one knee then the other knee, you're slamming on both knees and rockstar sliding, and it's like over time, even with knee pads, that's really bad. You're still damaging your knees instead of just being like, let's only learn baseball slides where you're sliding on your side, or like, you know, choose a cheek.
You want to know why they do that, though? They do that because it's not realistic to baseball slide when you're in the middle of a pack and you're getting knocked down and stuff. So, like, I get why they're doing it, but I agree with you. I don't think that they should do it.
Like,
but, like, I get why they're doing it.
They never say, hey, if you can avoid it, don't fall on your knees. It's just like,
they never say that.
Just
that's
go like
for
this
sure.
And slide up, or do a knee tap fast and pop back up. So they're never, like, telling you just not to go on your knees. So I feel like it is, like, I've been told, like, when I started park skating more or skating in the streets, it's more encouraged to actually, like, choose a cheek and go, or choose a side, and really to protect all your joints. And I still get freaked out when I see people with, like, no gear on, like, jumping rails and stuff.
So
and
scary.
I'm always like, oh my god, and with no gear on? And, like, that's something I'll, like, exclaim and talk to people about, but I'm not going to take the time and, like, comment, like, oh my god, you're doing that without that. Or even if it's more, like, almost, like, a thing of awe if I do, like, dang, that was sick, and with no safety gear on, you're wild, like, something like that. But I'm not, like, judging them. I'm more in awe, like.
I think there's a difference, for sure.
Yeah. But, like, a lot of people are, I feel bad because there'll be a handful of people who are like, oh, they're so stupid to do that, and, like, insulting them, and it's like, they know their craft. Like, I know skaters that are, like, hardcore, like, even Esther, like, when they do a backflip at, like, a new place they haven't been, they're like, okay, helmet, and they know to put a helmet on because they don't know what it's going to be like yet. Kiana Iwana has said they've had head injuries before, and they think, like, if I have one more, that could be it. So they make sure they wear their helmet when they're doing all their errors and stuff. And I think it's just, like, knowing, like, what your body can take and what your skill level. And with that said, like, when it's your time, it's your time. Like, things can happen. One wrong slip, your truck can crack, or a plate can crack. There could be a rock. Like, it could just be, like, you flipped yourself a little too much. You never know. There's freak accidents anytime. And all I want to say is, like, even with your gear on, you can get hurt really badly. Sometimes your gear protects you a little bit. Like, now you have a concussion, but you could have been dead, you know? Like, you smashed your teeth out, but you also could have smashed your skull in. Like, there's so many things. Like, I've had things where I had my knee pads on, but I slammed on the side of my knee where the knee pad didn't really protect. So, even though I felt like I should have been protected, I wasn't. And there's just so many things, like, when it's your time, it's just your time, and it comes with skating, you know? So, I think, like, gear is just one of those things you can have so many talks about, right, babe?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that there is a place and a time where gear should be mandatory, and that I really do think that beginners should wear gear. I'm not going to enforce that ever on you, but I strongly, strongly, strongly believe that beginners should wear gear, because you're just falling so many different ways that you don't know how to fall, and, like, you can seriously injure yourself in a way that, like, will make it so then you don't want to continue roller skating. And
that happens a lot.
I hate that for you. And so, like, I definitely encourage gear. And especially, like, people like me, like, I am so klutzy and, like, I am so injury prone that, like, I probably am good enough to do a lot of things without gear, but I will continue to wear gear while doing them. But then there are some things that I'm like, nah, I'm not going to wear gear, you know, and it's just me listening to my body. And so it's really important to just, like, let people live.
Yeah, the last time we went to the skate park, we went to Houghton, I only wore my knee pads. I left my wrist guards and my helmet, like, with our stuff. And I, like, went on all the ramps. I did some jumps. I went on the half pipe. And I was proud of myself because I didn't baby pump. I didn't stop myself, because I think that's what I'm talking about, is, like, when it's something that I know, like, I 100% can handle, and, like, even if I fell, like, it's not from high and it wouldn't be too bad of an injury, I usually, like, freak out and, like, baby it and, like, don't even push myself or try. And now I'm like, oh, I know I can do this, so, like, I'm okay, and, like, I'll like pump a little higher still, do some do some tricks, versus, like, before, like, oh no, I can't do anything, because I could, like, the fear would take over, because, like, my pads gave me courage, and it should be, like, the courage from within. And I watched Ghouli's video on, like, how to fall, like, falling, like, when she does rails, and just little helpful things to help you, like, that are physics, like, they'll make the fall smaller, or, like, where you land not being so intense and chance of injury. And I think that's also helpful to have, even if you have gear. Most importantly, it's how to fall, because your gear can only do so much.
Yeah, I mean, and we definitely need to wrap this up very soon, but I don't feel that way, because even when I do, like, say, like, I'm very confident, for instance, skating on our ramp in the backyard, our mini ramp. And just the other day, 2 months ago, but 2 months ago, I was skating on it just to, like, show my friends who came over just, like, literally how to do, like, literally the most basic thing that I've done a million times. And my skate slipped, and then I fell on my knee, and because of that, my knee still freaking hurts, and I literally can't be on my knees right now, like, because of that stupid fall. And if I had just put knee pads on, I wouldn't be experiencing that. And the thing I was doing was literally, like, the pump up leg tap, like, the thing I do all the time, every single time I get on the ramp. And so it's just kind of like,
I just caught you in a lie, babe. You
What?
told me when I said, why didn't you put your gear on if you were doing, like gonna skate the ramp with them? Which you're like, that's judgy, but I was just like, because I know she wears her gear when she does it. And she said, I wasn't even doing anything. I was literally just trying to get to the top of the deck to take a picture with him. That's what you told me.
Oh, I also did that. But yeah,
look,
I did pump a little bit. I didn't realize I didn't tell you about that.
I did lie to you.
I didn't realize I didn't tell you about that.
Yeah, you told me that.
But I also was trying to pump to get to the top, and I also did fall a little bit then too. Okay. So I think it was a mixture of the two.
She just merged the truth.
I merged the two, two falls.
Yeah.
But yeah, so anyways, wear gear or don't wear gear.
It's your choice.
Yeah, you have a body. You get to choose what to do with it.
Unlike Texas believes, it's your body, your choice.
Yeah, seriously.
All right, let's get out of here. It's a long episode.
Sorry about that.
Find your skate date. Find your skate date. We don't have one this week, but I just want to let you know that Find Your Skate Date is our segment where we help you find love, whether it is through friendship or romantic. Sometimes it's really hard to find a skater in your area or a skate group. So you can write in with your pronouns, your location, and a little bio about you and your Instagram handle so we can share you on our skate date Instagram. And hopefully someone else that lives next to you, or maybe even a cool internet friend, will find you and hopefully not stalk you like the people in our earlier segment and become your best skate date friends. Gotta laugh to keep from crying. Anyways, yeah, so it's a really cool thing, and we know we had some people link up. From our
We've had great success from Find Your Skate Date. So if you would like to also be part of the Find Your Skate Date party, just email us at dearskatedate@gmail.com.
Yes, do it now. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, now that we've done Dear Skate Date, here's Dear Shovel.
Dear Shovel.
Dear Shovel is the part of our podcast where you ask us questions and then we answer them, and we answer them either really well or really poorly or a combo of both. And they can be about literally anything, like literally anything. So you can send us an email at dearskatedate@gmail.com and ask us a Dear Shovel question. Today's Dear Shovel question is, Dear Shovel, why don't you have more disco balls in your house?
That's not a real question.
Okay, fine. You caught me. Dear Shove, will you buy me more disco balls?
No, there's already too many disco balls in here, and you keep disco balling everything.
Yeah, do you see my water bottle?
Yeah, if you're listening and not watching, she has been buying those little disco stickers, like that make a disco ball, and has put them on planters, a giant hydro flask. Where else did you put them? On part of her little, like, risers on her desk. Like, every day I feel like there's a new disco ball somewhere, and it's becoming a little too much. Like, yeah.
So anyways, that's an example of something you could ask. Or you could ask something about skating. Or you could ask something about literally anything else. Relationship advice, life advice. We answer it all on Dear Shuffle.
So yeah, you have all that jazz. You have our emails. So email Skate Date Podcast as well if you're like, hey, I want to add. Shove can't just sell her own shove. Oh, wait, what? Shove
just can't sell her own shove.
Shove can't just sell her own stuff. That's like Sally sells.
No.
Shove can't sell her own stuff.
Shove can't just sell her own
get
stuff.
It together. Now my hat's falling off. It's chaos, people. We're over an hour in. Let's get it to a wrap. So make sure we find your skate date. Do a Dear Shovel. Email us if you would like an ad as well, because the prices are cheap and so are we. Now we move on to our 5-star reviews, who probably no one's given us one because we have not been around.
Nobody has given us a 5-star review, but I understand. I'll be honest, I get it.
And 5-star reviews are done on Apple Podcasts, so go ahead and leave us a review if you haven't already. And yeah, it feels good to be back. That's why we kept talking so much. I'm not really in a depressive state. I am not moody. I am doing the best I can, so I am here. Things are turning around. I'm working on my shop. I got my babe right here. She's not dancing at disco places every night anymore, so things are going good. Bowie's good. Oh, man. 2 girls, 1 pup. We forgot to mention that in our 1-year anniversary.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I brought him up here for a little bit, so it's kind of like we had a 2 girls, 1 pup.
I miss you, Bowie. That was the best segment ever. But, you know, y'all, I just want to say thank you again for hanging around for 1 year.
We love you.
I think we're going to be back on track now.
Yeah, we should be back on track now.
So even though you might not be listening to this on a Wednesday, because who knows when it'll be edited, we will be back on Wednesdays.
Yes, we are getting back into our groove. Thank you to us for finding our lives again.
Whoa, that was dramatic. All right, y'all.
We love you. Bye.